Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Pauper video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Today we're going to be playing with Gianni C's Abzan Cat Gate deck list. So there's a whole bunch of new gate cards that serve as very effective mana fixers in Pauper, where sometimes your mana is a little bit sketchy. And all of these cards, most importantly, are going to power Basilisk Gate. For 2 mana and tapping this land, target creature gets plus X until end of turn, where X is the number of gates you control. Now, admittedly, you can only activate this as a sorcery, so it's not like this can be the craziest combat trick in the world. But if you look at our mana base here, of our 22 lands, 17 of them are actually gates. So this can be a disgustingly large activation. And we compare this with bodies that we don't care about when they die in the forms of our cats, or sometimes bodies that can't be blocked for one reason or another. Holding this shell together is the Deadly Dispute and Reckoner's Bargain package, alongside a handful of creatures that again we don't mind sacrificing, as well as some value-oriented, like ETB draw a card artifacts. Beyond this, there's only a handful of other things in the deck list here, some other things that help us make some food, or maybe a few removal spells, or a few ways to kind of fix some things. Grapple with the Past can be a way to find your Basilisk Gate, or a creature that can kind of be the target for its activated ability. As far as the sideboard goes, here things are very sort of focused in. We have the ability to gain a lot of life between the Gatekeepers here and Fangren Marauder, and then we have a handful of removal spells, most of them for artifacts. I do want to take a moment to shout out Alex Ullman's, recent for me, probably about 2 weeks old for you, article over on Channel Fireball, which kind of talks about how good the bridges and like Reckoner's Bargain and Deadly Dispute are in Pauper right now, and how like Dust to Dust is maybe not the greatest 8 card that you can be playing versus Affinity. It's probably worth a read. With that said, I don't think I need to say a lot of this deck tech here. Like, cats go meow, Basilisk Gate goes take 20 damage. Like, that's the plan today. Let's see how it goes. My Pauper videos don't tend to get a lot of love from the algorithm, so please consider leaving a like or comment, or both, on today's video. It helps out a lot, and if you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. There'll probably be another Pauper video in the next week or so. I've got a zoo brew ready to go as well. Alright, let's battle. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what an opening hand needs to look like from this deck in terms of raw speed, but I have 3 different gates in my hand and the ability to draw a couple of cards. I'm going to assume that that is good enough. This gate doesn't enter tapped, but these other ones do. Let's play the white gate, and I guess also make it tap for green, as I don't have green yet. And let's call that a turn. Our mana fixing is definitely taken care of here. And let's see where this goes. To my face is probably the answer after seeing Monastery Swiftspear. I have some ability to gain some life here. I think I'm going to go ahead and just cast my cat this turn rather than do the more mana efficient golden egg play, and just get another one of these tapped lands going. What, this is a green-white land right now. This can be a green-black land, I guess. Okay, it is Experimental Synthesizer. There might be white in this deck as well. I'm not sure. There goes the Chromatic Star. And my cat has gone bye-bye. And there's an Epicure. Alright, that's a lot of damage. I might be dead before I kind of get off the ground here. I embalm you for 1. That seems fine. We'll do that. This enters untapped. Use that to go ahead and play a golden egg. I'll cantrip off of that. Oh, this is nice to hold the ground. And then I can also be looking at a Reckoner's Bargain to gain 2 life with Golden Egg. Golden Egg can also be sacrificed for 3 life manually. This is in that exile zone. Goblin Blast Runner. +2/+0 and Menace as long as you sacrificed a permanent this turn. Okay. I will just block the Epicure here. Go to 10. This is very good synergy with the... Oh my god, another one. Well, like, this is cool. We're not quite ready for this yet. I can hold the Monastery Swiftspear in check. I'm just going to get 2-turned by these Goblin Blast Runners, though. So I don't really know what to do about that. Like, my opponent just has the ability to sacrifice 2 permanents. And Menace is obviously pretty brutal. I'm at 4. I can gain 3 life. And can't gain 6 life this turn. And I think if I sacrifice this for life, I'm just like not getting there. I think I just need my sideboard cards here. Play this and see what I draw. Dawnbringer, or it's a permanent, right? So if I destroy this, the blood token can still do it. All right. I was not fast enough here. So the good news is I get 6 life gain sideboard cards, and I can also do 3 more removal spells beyond that. Suffocating Fumes is probably going. It can hit the Epicures, but it misses. Well, Goblin Blast Runner is an X1, right? Let me double check that for myself. No, it's a 1/2. Yeah, in that case, Fumes probably needs to go. I think since I'm bringing in a bunch of more expensive cards, these just go. Vanguard Marauder is really expensive. I wonder if I'm just supposed to board in these 7. The Grapple with the Past can probably just go. That gets me the Gatekeepers and the 3 removal spells, and now it's just a question of, like, do I want these? I'm gonna have, what, 8 artifacts that I can sacrifice to gain life? But my opponent has a bunch of artifacts, too. Like Experimental Synthesizers. Yeah, these are probably worth getting in the deck still. I cut, like, 2 Deadly Disputes here. What about cutting Cauldron Familiar? Is that reasonable? I've boarded in 6 other creatures. Maybe cutting a Cauldron Familiar is reasonable. Well, the good news is I have 3 life gain cards, but I don't have a playable amount of mana here. Oh, so that has to go back. I think I'd rather go to 5 than keep a 1-lander here. I just don't think that's going to win. I have all my colors with this hand. This is going to be a keep. At least one of the 6 drops goes back. I probably need to get rid of both and just try to make it to a Gatekeeper. Alright. I think I play my tapped land immediately so that I can Golden Egg on 2. So that will be making green mana. And let's see how quickly I'm taking damage here. Okay, not on turn 1 is nice. Edict is totally reasonable here. Get the Golden Egg going. I need to get deeper into my deck. I need more gates. I need to get to my, Ceruli Gatekeepers that will gain me 7 life and help stabilize my board. Alright, there's a Synthesizer. Opponent gets an Epicure that they can... Oh, they don't have another land. Oh no. So this is a green-white. This is black. This is black. So this should be either green or white. I don't think it matters much. I'm going to choose green. I think I'm interested in just firing this off immediately. Okay, there's a Gatekeeper. I've made my land drop. With any other land drop, I get to gain 7 life and play a large body. Although I may end up just kind of clearing some creatures off of the board. Alright, so my opponent has a bunch of artifacts here that can just kind of clear out the graveyard. Sorry, that can just kind of cantrip and trigger prowess is what I meant. Alright, do I want to play a Gatekeeper first or a Guardian of the Guild Pact? Because it looks like I'm probably using my treasure this turn. I think the Guardian of the Guild Pact stabilizing the board from attackers is probably more important. Alright. Goodbye, my graveyard. Although I honestly don't really... Oh, Kuldotha Rebirth. Sure. That's something that will go wide of a lot of my stuff. I really need more mana here. Probably means I'm going to play Gingerbrute, pass the turn, and then do a Deadly Dispute after blocks on Goblin Blast Runner. Kuldotha Rebirth, Experimental Synthesizer is sick. I really like that. Alright, there's a star. There's the Kuldotha Rebirth. Painter's Edicts have lost a lot of value. Suffocating Fumes that I boarded out looks good in this exact instance, but wouldn't look good against these. Seal of Fire is useful. Alright. I think it's Deadly Dispute over Reckoner's Bargain. Let's Deadly Dispute that Gingerbrute. Yeah, I'm not really planning on using my graveyard. I've boarded out a lot of my cats. Now this Menace creature can get in there. I have protection from monocolored, but I appreciate the hustle. Oh my gosh, I am just not hitting this land drop that I need. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just try to clog up the board a little bit, but I don't think this is something that favors me necessarily. Oh, Galvanic Blast is rough. Alright, yep. Goodbye. Now my opponent can crack this relic, clear out my graveyard, and then be able to attack in with this successfully. Oh gosh. Another Kuldotha Rebirth. Yeah. I can soak up 3 damage or I can start killing some tokens. I think I'm gonna start killing some tokens. Oh, there's more? Sure, a Lightning Bolt is fine. It's 1 more point of damage in with Prowess. I think I'm mostly just overrun here, folks. I haven't hit my land drops necessary to deploy multiple spells so that I can really the things that I need to do. I think I'm going to try to spike a land off of Golden Egg. It's a little greedy, but I think if I'm going to win, I need to be a little greedy. Like, for example, if I spike an untapped black land and can play both of my cats. Nope. Would be cool. Yeah, life's bad. My opponent's deck is just operating so much more efficiently than mine is. Like, admittedly, I'm on a mulligan here, but like this is turn 7, and I haven't hit my 4th land drop after casting multiple card draw cards. It is what it is. Yep. Another Swift Spear. Yeah. I'm at 7, which means I am deterministically dead right now. I will concede. GG. Today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com, which is more than just the deck building website that they advertise to be. It's a place where you can go to find articles and more than just deck lists. So for example, if you want to find out the people who are like brewing or a lot of the brewers with the most followers, that's something that's just readily accessible on this website. So consider checking them out. Hey folks, Phil from the future here. I recommend skipping this round. I start playing towards a timeout from very early in the round, and I cut out a large portion of this round because it was so boring. So you've been warned. Okay, I have 4 lands with this hand. I have Golden Egg and Reckoner's Bargain to kind of draw through my deck, and like I have a threat to equip, or not equip, to activate my gate on. This seems like a reasonable opening hand. The previous time I saw this was in a Tron. That land was in a Tron deck list. Let's maybe make early white here. And that opens up Dawnbringer Cleric if that's something that I want to do in the short term. Alright, so opponent's got 3 colors right now. Let's just take care of an untapped land this turn and play the Golden Egg. I've picked up another threat. Alright, Energy Refractor. Okay, sure. So let's maybe pick up... This is white-black. I'm actually maybe not going to be able to cast this on curve next turn. Guess that's a thing. Hold on. Do you destroy an artifact? It's enchantment, right? Make a green land out of you. I'll just pass the turn with the intention of doing an end of turn Reckoner's Bargain, and we'll try to find an untapped green land to play this. Okay, yeah, it is Tron, despite the fact that my opponent didn't have any initial Tron lands. Let's stack our golden egg, draw some cards. Okay. I didn't hit an untapped green land. I can do this tapped to play a big beefy card next turn. I think I'm on board with that. I have white, black. I have white, green. Let's make black the secondary color for this one then. Play out a Gingerbrute. I think I'm just going to get another body onto the board here. Do a nice first level Cure Wounds. Crash in for some damage. If my opponent doesn't present any blockers here, I'll probably just start going to town with gates, maybe. Like, it is a respectable amount of damage. Breath Weapon. 2 damage to each non-dragon creature. As an instant, so I might want to be activating gates on Dawnbringer Cleric. Sure, Impulse is fine. Sweet art. Alright, and then there's another Network Terminal activation. Ah, we are going the Fog route. So I've got a land drop. Got 5 gates. I can do 7 damage this turn. It may just be better for me to invest my mana in more bodies. If the bodies live through things like Breath Weapon, that's probably good for me. Alright. I have made a large creature. I'll crash in for some damage. And I think I'm probably going to be attempting 6-ish damage each turn. Like, I know my opponent has at least 1 fog. Alright, crop rotation is going to complete Tron for my opponent. Not that Expedition Map couldn't have. And that means Energy Refractor is pretty good fixing from here. And Network Terminal, while not card advantage like you used to be able to get from some of the artifacts in Tron, it's still decent card selection. In Rova Horror. This bounce and then discard, right? Yeah. Oh, just on one of my lands? Sure. I think as one of my more... Or actually, Suffocating Fumes is very unlikely to do anything in this matchup. Let's get rid of that. So, the more resources I invest into this attack, the more the more likely it is that my opponent uses a Moment's Peace in a way that's pretty annoying. This is not green. This is green. This can be green if I need it to be. Oh, sorry, this is not a treasure. This is a food. I'm not playing this turn. Okay. Let's force this Moment's Peace out right now, actually. Exile that Moment's Peace. Oh, it just went bye-bye. Cool. In that case, gate time? I have to do this at sorcery speed. Maybe do it on the cleric. Alright, we got a 5/7 body. I am fine with a trade here. My opponent could also naturally have another fog in hand, but I think they would have just, like, used the one from their graveyard. What do you have end of turn? Okay, you're just mapping. Finding another tower. Okay, sure. And then a loot. And the tower goes away to the looting. What's your big mana play after all this? Muldrifter is very reasonable. 5 mana for another Muldrifter. And then we've got a land drop. So I need this to be green mana in the not too distant future. I can make Gingerbrute unblockable here and crash in for a pretty respectable amount of damage. I think I'm just fine with that. You're unblockable. I'll make you big. There's half of your life total, unblockably. You're at 6. Now, opponent's got 7 cards in hand. I am in no capacity expecting that this game is over. Like, one fog effect, for example, buys an ungodly amount of time. Like one, what is the flashback fog? 1 Moment's Peace, for example. What? Rolling Thunder. Absolutely. That was not on the list of cards I was expecting to play against when I signed up for this Pauper League, but here we are. A Bojukabog. Sure. I'm trying to decide, like, how risky I want to be this turn. I think I want to start by seeing what this does as a cantrip. Okay, no choice. Alright. Can be a green black land, black white, white green. This could be a green black land. Now I've got 4 mana to work with. I don't have green green. I do not have green green. Instead, let's go black mana, and I can hold up Cast Down or Reckoner's Bargain. Cauldron Familiar a couple of times is a very real way to kill my opponent, even if combat damage isn't going to work. I'm going to take this opportunity to cast down a Bull Drifter. I don't know exactly to what degree I need to be playing around counter spells. I expect my opponent has some amount of access to that. Right, another tower is fine. My opponent have access to a Basilisk Gate? Because might be interesting. We probably got too many raw Tron lands and too many colors to be thinking about for that to be reasonable. Demonic Wall. Sure. Just getting back an Impulse. Okay, they're holding back. This isn't getting in for combat damage, so I think I'm just going to start by sacrificing it to Reckoner's Bargain. There's a Sacred Cat. They're both black-green. One has white, this one has white. So, do the whole Fierce Witchstalker thing. Impulse is fine. Okay, that's fine. We'll cast a Little Cat. And let's make another dual land here. Let's do this at any time at instant speed. It doesn't have to be right now. I'll take 2 from this attack. I guess I should return it end of turn if I'm going to return it, right? But it can attack with a Basilisk Gate activation. Alright, it is another wall. Putting back Prohibit. Seems good. Earn Cauldron Familiar. And drain 1. Cast down's not overly exciting right now. Activate on a cat. Activate on more other cat. I am just going to assume that I get fogged here in some capacity. This is probably going to be rough here. I'm going to get the stupid Ghostly Flicker. So my opponent currently has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Kicked Prohibit is 4. I might be able to kill one of these walls at this exact time. Or no, it can just counter it still, right? Because it's 4 or less for the kicker. Oh. There's that, too. Okay. At this point, I believe this game is over in favor of my opponent. Like, they just get that Unwind and Ghostly Flicker back. I've got 2 choices here. I can just concede now, or I can start trying to time my opponent out in game 1. Because my opponent has very minimal ability to actually win the game quickly. And I do have the ability to win the game quickly. I believe it is strategically correct to try and time my opponent out, but it is incredibly boring. I think what I'm going to do here is cut to the end of the game for you all. Okay, yeah, the gameplay was totally uninteresting. It's been roughly 7 turns. My opponent eventually drew a Rolling Thunder and killed me. I didn't really get to do anything meaningful that impacted the board in the last few turns, but my opponent is down to 11 minutes, so if I win 1 game here, I can probably time my opponent out. And this is, like, not an interesting way of playing Magic or approaching Magic. What do I want to do here? I don't really know that I have great sideboard cards. Like, I can play a Dust to Dust to exile my opponent's mana rocks. Doesn't really seem great. I think I want these relics to try and disrupt my opponent's graveyard-based loops. I can consider playing these just as more threats. Suffocating Fumes isn't particularly good. I don't know how good Grapple with Past really is here. a way to get a creature or land. Like, that matters sometimes when I'm trying to get to my 4th land drop for some of this stuff, but I'm going to assume that the game goes long enough that I don't really need these. They can, like, put a Cauldron Familiar or a Sacred Cat into the graveyard, though. Like, maybe I'm underestimating those cards. Not like Dawnbringer Cleric actually is very good. Let's cut Dawnbringer Clerics. Then I could keep these and consider just playing a couple of buster cards like Vanguard Marauders as just a raw threat. Maybe trimming a cast down. Yeah, I will keep this hand. A little bit unimpressive. I think I'm just going to live with that and assume that the early points of damage I get off of these cards will be useful in some capacity. Alright, Sacred Cat, get in there for 1. Opponent goes to 21. This can be a green-black dual land. I don't get to use my mana efficiently this turn, unfortunately. My opponent has turn 3 Natural Tron. That is unfortunate for me. See how good the rest of their hand is to back that up. They're at 18. I'm going to go ahead and play a Cauldron Familiar and then cantrip with Golden Egg this turn. Yeah. Alright, good stuff. Sure. Oh, there's an island. My opponent just had all 3 pieces in hand naturally. Presumably. I mean, there could be something that's so important that they just want to play it this turn. I think I'm just going for damage here. Sacred Cat gets bigger. Cast a Gingerbrute. Attempt 6 damage. Succeed on that front. Impulse is fine. Other impulse is fine. Okay, there's Voltron. Alright, so this is black-green. I probably just want another black-green land. We'll do that. Make the cat big. I think I still just take every point of damage that I can right now. Get in there, friends. Opponent's at 3. Converting into green mana for a crop rotation. And they've got a lot of mana to work with. Like a Dragon's Breath could happen and wipe my board. Yeah, so opponent just giving it up. Force them into this situation where they are down on time. Okay. I don't really have appropriate colors of mana here. I can play a Gingerbrute into a Golden Egg into Deadly Dispute that and try to fix my mana, or I can just mulligan this hand into something that has smoother mana, which I think is what I'm going to do. Well, this is going to get the right colors. I don't know that I necessarily call this smooth, but it's fine. I think I'm going to get rid of the Gingerbrute here, since I don't have a Make 'em Big gate right now. Maybe make this a black-white land. I can play Sacred Cat on turn 2 and Deadly Dispute the following turn. Fractor is good. Another Sacred Cat. White-black. Maybe a green-white. Play a cat. My hand's not as aggressive as last time. We'll see if I can kind of get my way out of that. With like Golden Egg and Deadly Dispute, I am going to have a decent amount of draws, but a large number of ETB tapped lands here is slowing me down when I want to close this game out before my opponent gets to big mana. Although a second Urza's Tower is a real nice sight for me. Get in there with Sacred Cat. Opponent goes to 19. I think I want to cantrip here and see if I can spike an untapped land for the other Sacred Cat. Not exactly, but that's a very good draw. I already have green, right? Yeah, I already have green. I already have white. I don't have black. This can be a green-black then. I might start hitting with Basilisk Gate next turn, although just playing the Fierce Witchstalker out immediately might just be a better call for me. There's another Refractor. Yep, Gingerbrute. I think I'm going to go ahead and just throw this creature into play for purposes of kind of diversifying where my damage is coming from. Opponent's at 18. Island is fine. Another crop rotation. This completes Tron for my opponent, and they've completed Tron while at 18 life. This doesn't necessarily bode well for me. I do have a fair amount of onboard damage, though, like, considering the 5 and 8 power I have, plus Basilisk Gate for another 5. Hull Drifter's fine. And what is this? They destroy target creature with power 1 or less. Sure, that's fine. That can just come right back on my turn. So I can activate the gate and bring back a cat. This is a large amount of trample damage if it gets through. Play this. Black innately. Let's make another white here. Go ahead and suit up my creature. Swing in for 9 trample damage. Reduce my opponent's life total to 9. Embalm a Sacred Cat and call it a turn. Every point of this early damage matters because it makes it easier for me to drain my opponent out with Cauldron Familiar. Alright, there's a Dinrova Horror. Bouncing one of my lands. I'll just discard a Sacred Cat for some value here. Alright, my opponent kind of went back and forth on attacks and then decided on not. Mystical Teachings or an Ephemerate. Sure. So if I play a gate, this is +5/+5 for 9 total damage, which is pretty good. I think I just go in on that. I should play my gate first. Get big. Does require at least 1 block here. Hull Drifter is taking the sacrifice. Opponent is at 2. Bring back a Sacred Cat. And while my opponent can do some bouncy nonsense, I think I'm going to get them in most timelines here. We probably need to ephemerate this and take it out of play. At which point I can play Gingerbrute, give it haste, crash in for lethal. Then they will need a fog effect to stay alive. Alright, Mnemonic Wall is reasonable. Yeah, get back your Mystical Teachings. I am very much playing towards a timeout kill in a lot of worlds here. There's another gate. I'll activate 1 there. This is 10. I want to force my opponent to fog, I guess. And then Deadly Dispute away Golden Egg. I think I just attack with this one. Alright, there's the Mystical Teachings. Or Ghostly Flicker. That's fine. I'm gonna ephemerate the Horror. Bounce my creature. That's fine. Alternatively, I could Deadly Dispute it away right now and not discard a card. I think I'm okay with discarding a card. Or the Manor Gate. I'll save this in hand and pass the turn here. So you are going to blink, retarget Ephemerate. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and cast my Deadly Dispute, sacking the Golden Egg. Alright, I found a Cauldron Familiar, which is nice. Alright, opponent is starting to try to turn the corner on this game. Honestly, I think I just block these. Or no, I think I just block the 4/4. I think I just soak up time more than anything else here. Alright, Ghostly Flicker is fine. Opponent's going to blink my lands. Really not that big of a deal. Start one of the Gingerbrutes here. Ghostly Flicker's fine. Sure. I think my opponent is too focused on flickering my lands instead of just trying to fucking win the game. That is my assessment of this situation. The same thing happened last game too. Alright, I will discard just another gate. You're kind of hard to get into play at this point. A Relic of Progenitus. My opponent has some amount of mana available. Let's go ahead and play that. Straight up a negate. Play Gingerbrute with 1 mana. Make it unblockable. And then play a cat. Seems like it's lethal. Let's do that. Gingerbrute. Cauldron Familiar. Rain 1. Can't be blocked except by creatures with haste. And that should do it. I'm not going to really claim that that round of Magic was anything that resembles fun, but GG's. I think my opponent played pretty poorly. if I'm being honest. I think there were easier and faster paths to victory than what they took. Okay, round 3, I've kept my opening hand here. I think I'm just going to start with my haste creature this time and get some some early damage in. Alternate art Vault of Whispers? Never seen that before. Huh, neat. Alright, so let's play this tapped. It needs to be this base green, a green black land. Play out Sacred Cat. Bash in for 1. I'm going to try to use Grapple with the pass to hit future land. Okay, yeah, it looks like there's a whole series of these. And Ichor Wellspring as well. Got some bling. Try to hit my next land drop here. I will succeed. Turn that into a green-black land. Unfortunately, no damage in this turn. I kind of expect that I'm going to get overpowered by Affinity. Like, I just historically haven't found the Dust to Dusts that are currently in my sideboard as, like, a good way to deal with Affinity. Like, I might just gain a stupid amount of life by suiting up Sacred Cat with my gate equipment thingy that I forget the name of. I forget which gate is which. And like that may keep me out of range, but not super hopeful. Okay, yeah, looks like all of them got this treatment. So let's play a large creature that costs 4 mana. My opponent, unfortunately, does have creatures the same size that are going to cost 0 mana. Unfortunately, this large creature is still susceptible to something like a Galvanic Blast. Alright, another Wellspring, grinding out value. I expect draw 2s and large creatures to start happening here. Because the Mirror Enforcers are absolutely free at this point. Oh, it's a good gate. I have to do this at sorcery speed, so I have to make my choice now. I think I'm going to do it on the Sacred Cat here. This has Embalm, and I could just bring it back, assuming that I left myself with white open, like a wise Magic player. I'm not a wise Magic player. Let's just make this unblockable. Send that in, because that also locks me off of Dawnbringer Cleric. Okay, there's Galv Blast. That's why I didn't want to do that there. Alright, my opponent's just going to take all of the damage. I am A-okay with that. And let's do a little drain for 1. And see what happens at end of turn. Seems like another draw 2 attack, sacrificing the Wellspring. Sure. Like, I have the better on-board stuff, but my opponent has so much more consistent card advantage than I do. Yeah, okay. All these X1 creatures definitely are going to feel a little bad in the face of makeshift munitions. Oh, it's a Gurmag Angler too. Alright, I will take 2 points of damage from this attack. That's fine. Another cat. Probably better for me to just play out this 4/4. Or wait, Dawnbringer Cleric does shit. Ooh, buddy. Dawnbringer Cleric does shit. I actually have an answer to makeshift munitions. I'm not used to having that. Like, main deck enchantment removal is not overly common. Okay, my opponent is going after my Gingerbrute, which is very reasonable. And I will destroy makeshift munitions. So this turn, I actually don't attack into that Gurmag Angler very well, do I? Maybe I should have just sacked this for 3 life. So sack that for 3 life. And then also played Cauldron Familiar. Yeah, that was a small misplay on my end. Planning on activating this gate, but now I see that it's only +3/+3. That doesn't do me a lot of good. Alright. Small drain. We'll call it a turn. Opponent's Gurmag Angler isn't really getting in for meaningful damage. Any gate here ends up being really good. That attack seems wrong to me. I just get to chump block and then bring the cat right back by sacrificing my food. 3 +1/+1 counters. Oh, okay, yeah, sure. That's actually very annoying. That's an indestructible land. That's a 3/3 flying indestructible. I guess I can still attack into it, though, and just gain a bunch of life. That is a thing that I am allowed to do. Let's drain one. A Reckoner's Bargain. Do that after blocks on my opponent's turn. I turn this into a 4/4 and attack. Neither one of these is white, so I'll have to leave open this. That's okay. Green, white, no. Or alternatively, I just do this on my 1/3 butt creature. I have 6 toughness. Yeah, that's just better. Or no, then I'm not actually gaining life, which is the whole reason I'm doing this. Okay, JK, JK. Alright, cat gets big. Cat crashes in. This is fine. Gain some life. Pass the turn. Gurmag Angler attacks in. I just Reckoner's Bargain. Cat goes to graveyard. I then get the cat back out of graveyard with the Witch Stalker. This is fine. Sacrifice the Cauldron Familiar. Basilisk Rebuke is very good there. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? Like, as this game goes long, my opponent just gets to reduce the cost of their threats to 0. Which is rough. Kenku Artificer producing indestructible land creatures is also a pain. Let's make my Witch Stalker. Food out of that. I can bring back a cat in a minute. Get another lifelinker. Call it a turn. These scales are not tilting in my favor, though. Like, I know my opponent is in theory low on cards, but multiple blood fountains mean that I can't just, like, power through and trade with these creatures in a way that's profitable. And I'm not hitting card advantage nearly as consistently as they are. Because while I have 8 draw 2s, they have 12 because they also have Thoughtseize. And 16 if you count blood fountains. So, what do I want to do about this 4/4? I think just a chump. I just don't think trading with this creature is good with a blood fountain being on board. I'll take a little bit of damage. Hope I don't have to win this game by looping a cat 12 times. Yup. Yeah, sure. So a problem here is that, like, this is eventually going to return a Kenku Artificer, right? So my opponent is eventually going to have another indestructible creature that I'm going to have trouble dealing with. Right. Green, green. I have black, black, black. This one should have white in it. It does have white in it already. Secondary one doesn't matter a lot then. A green. Blown out by Galv Blast, maybe? 4/4, this is 9. I'd also pre-combat cast down this Gurmag Angler. And just get that out of the way. Or at least attempt to. It at least plays around Metallic Rebuke right now. I do have the 3 mana open. Yeah, I mean, I will attempt to pay. It's a huge tempo hit, not in my favor. You come in. I think I hold you back, though. See if I get Galv blasted. Okay. My opponent just threw away the body for 2 life. This is potentially reasonable. I don't know exactly what their hand looks like. Kenku Artificer and Gurmag Angler come back. This is what I'm talking about. Like, my opponent has so many draw 2s. I just feel completely outclassed as a deck here. Like, I'm doing relatively strong things, but I'm just getting absolutely buried in cards. Go no blocks this time, I think. Blocks should be a little bit reasonable later on. Another land, yeah. Yep. Like, I have 8 draw 2s in my deck, and a large amount of card advantage for, like, creatures that are coming back. And it just doesn't matter. Rough. So I can get, what, +5/+5 here. Be a 9/9 Trampler. Isn't actually that good of an attack, it just, like, trades with one of my opponent's creatures. Got a 5/5 Sacred Cat attack in. Kills one body. Blood Fountain is a thing. Yeah, my attacks are just awful here. I just trying to wait for a second Basilisk Gate and attack for lethal in one go with Fierce Witchstalker. That might be my path to victory. In which case, Sacred Cat attacks to gain life are, in fact, reasonable. Alright. Let's gain 6. Or alternatively, Gingerbrute. Alright, my opponent's just going to throw away Kenku Artificer. That seems very reasonable. Or wait, why didn't they just block with the indestructible thing? That was just strictly better, right? I guess I can bring it back with Blood Fountain. That's not strictly better. Alright, I'll take 6. A Frogmite. Yeah, there's Blood Fountain, returning the Kenku Artificer. Yeah, this is going to be my opponent's third indestructible flying 3/3. Sure. I guess that one is not technically indestructible. It's just a bad target. I can save this cast down to try to do nonsense or trample damage later. Make Sacred Cat big. Keep crashing in, gain my life. My opponent's just putting Kenku Artificer in front again. Fine, I'm at 26. My opponent is in top deck mode. I draw Gate, activate Gate, Gate, activate Gate. Still have 2 mana up for cast down. Don't block with a Cauldron Familiar here. Go to 17. A Sacred Cat. Am I going for the Fierce Witchstalker turn here? Attacks in as a 9/9. My opponent only blocks with 1 for some reason. They're in trouble. I don't think I go for that here. I think I continue just gaining life with Sacred Cat. A decent chance I just get Galv Blasted here. Not this turn. Send it in. Alright, just a chump. Keep this life total going. Play a Sacred Cat. Try to continue this game for as long as I can. See how my opponent treats attacks on their turn. While attacking with the Gurmag Angler. I think I just chump with a Sacred Cat. I do think I try to keep this cast down for Trixies. I'm not in a great spot as far as like this game going long goes. Grapple with Pass. Let's do it. This is black green. This is black green. Like tap this. I can return a Gingerbrute for the haste and unblockable. Let's attempt it. 8 on Gingerbrute. Gingerbrute is effectively unblockable. Attempt 6 unblockable damage. Opponent goes to 3. Reckoner's Bargain is rough. That is a 7-point life swing when I was going for lethal next turn. That's pretty brutal. Star's fine. I'm very close to dead. Got this cast down. If my opponent attacks too heavily with this turn, I might be able to win next turn. Gingerbrute's... Okay. That's where we're at, huh? So this blocks 5. Blocks 4. What? This is 3, 6, 9, 13. If I don't take this block, I'm going to lose to Galvanic Blast to my face. If I do take the block, I lose to Galvanic Blast on Gingerbrute instead. I think I just say if they have Galvanic Blast, they win. Take 3, 6, 9, 13 damage, go to 2. Munitions kills me. I think Munitions beats me anyway. Alright. Blocks like this. Alright. Galv Blast. Draw would have been Swamp, wouldn't have changed anything. Galv Blast on whatever I target with Basilisk Gate beats me. I fucking tried. But I didn't feel like there was a lot that I could really do there. I'm going to play Dust to Dust. I don't think they're going to be that good. But, like, they're in the sideboard for a reason. We're going to try them. And Fangren Marauder seems okay. Suffocating Fumes doesn't seem great. Dawnbringer Cleric doesn't seem great, but it does answer Munitions, which is kind of a big deal. So I guess I'm keeping it. Protection from Monocolored is much less exciting here. What else is coming out? Grapple with the Past. Seems expendable. I could do something like play Relic to try to fight against the Blood Fountains, but I don't know if that's really correct. I don't think I want this. Not gonna kill the indestructible artifact lands that get turned into creatures. Can sweep some smaller blockers out of the way. I don't know that I'm excited about it. And I don't think I have room for the Gatekeepers. This is not playable. Yikes. I don't have enough mana to get started here. This also has to be a mulligan. This is easily the best hand so far. I'm gonna keep it. I think I play this Gate tapped on turn 1. Golden Egg on turn 2 off this. Some number of these on turn 3. I'd probably throw back basic planes. Oh, fuck, it's 2 cards. Right. Throw back both those lands and hope things work out. We'll start out as a white-black land. At least my opponent mulliganed once, so that helps the card disparity a little bit. But I am not optimistic right now. Let's draw my card. Okay, I mean, if I hit mono gates forever, and I just build up like a double Basilisk Sacred Cat scenario, like that can maybe do some work, but IDK. Do I want a Reckoner's Bargain right now? It's Sacred Cat with this land, play Basilisk. No, I'd have to play Swamp to Reckoner's Bargain. Really want to do that. Let's just Reckoner's Bargain this away right now and not worry about getting the threat into play as quickly as possible. Tapped land? I think tapped land over Gingerbrute for 1 damage. Gives me access to green next turn too. Double Vault of Whispers for maybe a Reckoner's Bargain or a Deadly Dispute. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifacts in play already. 7 artifacts in play already. No free 4/4s. That's a huge boon for me. So let's gate. Play Gingerbrute. I think I'm just taking this damage. Like, turning this into a 5/5 right now. Pretty reasonable if it gets through. And if it doesn't, it eats a treasure and a Galv Blast. Maybe that's hasty, and like maybe I'm supposed to sandbag that Gingerbrute for as long as possible in an attempt to use it to close out the game for like the final few points of damage, and I'm supposed to just start on Sacred Cat instead. Don't have matchup reps to know. Yeah, but this is this very awkward point where like my opponent's vastly superior card advantage is going to be very clear from here on out. All right, 2 mana. We're doing another draw 2. Oh, it is a Gurmag Angler. I can cast down that. So that is good news for me. Until they bring it back with Blood Fountain a couple turns from now. Alright, cast down. I guess that means I should just approach this way and give up holding this. Just take this Gurmag Angler out right now. To make white. Let's play out a Sacred Cat. I have a lot of value sitting on board in these gates, but virtually no card advantage. Alright, another land from my opponent. 3 mana is probably Kenku Artificer. These 3/3 indestructibles are absolutely brutal. It's so hard to remove an indestructible creature. Like, I have a removal spell, but it's not happening. I become forced to approach this a different way. Gingerbrute. Make Gingerbrute swole. Mana. Okay, it's a Deadly Dispute. Sure. Sure. I mean, at least I get 2 points of damage this turn. Alright. Crash in there for 2. Opponent goes to 18. There's another artifact land. Yeah, and I'm just in this holding pattern where, like, my combat steps don't matter because my opponent has an indestructible creature in a format where the removal across the board is not very good at dealing with that. Alright. I will slowly gain some life over time, and, like, my opponent's just going to make another destructible creature, unfortunately. Yeah. So now my opponent can either choose to hold both of those back or start playing Sword and Shield, attack with one, defend with the other. I don't have something good to sacrifice to this Reckoner's Bargain right now. I think I want this card in play badly enough that I am just going to sacrifice the Dawnbringer Cleric and just draw some mana. Like, try to get more gates in play. Alright, this is green-black. This is green-white. Guess let's get a white. No, can't do that. Get another black, or not, let's get another white, I guess. For dust to dust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, +5/+5. I die if I double attack in. So we're chilling. Oh. Cool, it's another draw 2. Wellspring is fine. Star is fine. Other land is not that big of a deal either. Fine, I guess choose black with this one. Hope not to eat a Deadly Dispute. This is worth a lot of life if it does work. Or sorry, not a Deadly Dispute, counterspell. Mystic, whatever. Okay, that was black, not blue. I guess they already have blue, so it doesn't matter. Alright, they're cracking the spell bomb. They're taking another draw at it. 2 mana. Okay, it's a Reckoner's Bargain. I think at this point I'm safe. Like, they're doing this stuff so I don't gain the life from it. Alright, cool. Now, this doesn't trample or anything. There's a Munitions. Okay. Now, Munitions is less scary while Fangren Marauder is on the battlefield. Like, it does come at a very real cost. Oh, JK. Just going to lose it too. Yes, I will use that ability. I'm going to lose it to Gal Blast +1 makes it Munitions. Like, it was worth a couple cards, but now I am not going to get to do, like, buff attack nonsense forever. Oh, and a Blood Fountain. Cool. Rough. Alright. Make a land drop. Attempt a gate activation. Get pinged. Yeah. Embalm a cat. Play a second cat. But I am just on the wrong side of this equation in just about every way right now. Sure. Like, at the cost of 3 artifacts, my opponent will just clear both of these cats. And then the Blood Fountain will rebuy them right back. And once their attacks are safe, even though I'm at 35 life, I probably just die. And yeah, I die in short order to these. I will take 6. A Reckoner's Bargain. Gives me something to do. So I attempt this, they ping it. I will respond by sacrificing that token. Dust to dust. That's not bad. I do have the mana up for it right now, I believe. White. Yeah, I mean, I think I go for these here. Just takes all of the immediate pressure off of me. Oh, come on. I have so few sorcery spells in this deck. Alright. That's absolutely brutal. Like, it's good awareness for my opponent to, like, know, like, that's what they're going to lose to. Let's play a land. Play a Gingerbrute. Attempt to grow a Gingerbrute. Get brutalized. Gain some life in response. Play a Sacred Cat. Gonna die to the Munitions. Blood Fountain is going to absolutely bury me. Yeah, there's another Kenku Artificer. Yeah, dust to dust is not strong enough to deal with Affinity. Like, even if I had gotten rid of both of those lands, like, this next, like, flying indestructible bridge that was just waiting to happen would have been a real problem too, right? There's another land drop. Like, a timeout victory is about the only way that I probably win from here. Ugh. So, like, I will take game actions in an attempt to slow my opponent down, but yeah. I throw this cast down at Kenku Artificer, it just gets converted into 1 damage and comes back via Blood Fountain. So I think I hold this for later on the off chance that I do something somewhere that matters. Maybe that's not true, though. Every individual point of damage might change the clock. Alright, fuck it. Converted into 1 damage that doesn't keep coming back. I'm done. Like, I can't win this game. This is just too much card advantage. Like, I'm just buried. Oh, yeah, my opponent can just bleed me out with makeshift munitions here if they have enough open mana. Alright. I'm out. This is a weird looking hand where I have 2 lands to start things off. I have 4 1-mana threats and a source of card advantage. Not overly impressed by this hand. That said, I think I'm still going to keep it. Let's turn this into a white-black dual land and see where this game goes. Alright. So we're going fast here. So I'm always playing Heapgate. I'm always throwing this Lifelinker into play. And playing Gingerbrute. And I think I'm just going to hold these creatures back. I think I'm pretty willing to trade with my opponent in combat, given the opportunity to. Alright, Star is no big deal. When my opponent, like, Cold Oath the Rebirths and there's a whole bunch of goblins on the other side of the battlefield or something that I start to care a lot more. Alright, Chain Lightning is reasonable. Alright, my opponent is not willing to accept the trade here. I think I'm going to go ahead and redraw for a land. Any land here is just very, very good. Nice. This is white. I don't have access to green yet. Let's get green. Call it a turn. We're looking to play this game defensively. Alright, Synthesizer is good. What is that? Oh, it's the alternate art Swift Spear. Got it. That creature gets to safely attack in this turn. And this turn they're willing to make the trade. I am all about these 1-for-1 trades here. That's interesting timing. It's my hope that I can just get to the point where I have like a Sacred Cat and a gate, and I just take over this game. My opponent doesn't have a lot of cards, but that's a little deceptive because these are stored cards. I think I'm interested in Deadly Dispute and continuing to hit land drops as of right now. Let's Deadly Dispute this egg. Okay, there is a Basilisk Gate. It is real good for me. Put a cat into play. Put a Gingerbrute into play. I think I save this treasure for future turns. I think it's more valuable later. Crashing with Gingerbrute. I don't really feel safe yet. Okay, Reckless Impulse is great card advantage. Oh, fuck me. That's very good. That gets to clear my board, presumably. Yeah, Sacred Cat is gone. Yeah, Galblast takes out Gingerbrute. And I eat 4 damage. So this is green. I guess I can Heap Gate and filter as to not use my treasure. Alright, I'll make a 4/4, have these tokens. Again, I think they're more valuable later than they are right now. See what my opponent finds off their star. Oh, it's a Galblast, unfortunately. Opponent's doing a good job of getting through my blockers. They've eliminated 3 blockers already. And they've got a decent amount of onboard value. I'm not getting to this situation where I get to just attack with a large lifelinker, activate gate, and effectively win the game on the spot. And since my gate can only be activated at sorcery speed, not great at dealing with the Monastery Swift Spear, which is permanently on aggro duty. There's another gate. I think I need second green. This is second green. I have white, black. Let's make this into another black. I will play a Cauldron Familiar, a Drain 1, play a Gingerbrute. I think this is the turn where I go ahead and use that treasure token. The 6/6, make it effectively unblockable, and we'll take out a third of my opponent's life total. But our life totals are now tied, and they have the next attack. They also have effectively, well, kind of 3 stored cards. Synthesizers are good. They can produce 2/2s at any given time. Okay. Essig Flame Breather. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, 1 damage to each opponent. Alright, sure. That hangs out in exile for the next turn cycle. I am fine trading this body here. Opponent's pausing in a strange way here. Galblast Gingerbrute. Galblast me. Alright, so I go to 8. Oh, sure. So that's 4/8. I am dead. Yep. Okay, that was brutal. So I have 6 cards that I can bring in here that gain life, and another 3 that are kind of reasonable in other ways. I don't really know how to sideboard. My plan every single round has been board out, grapple with the past. Like if I'm going to board in 9 cards or somewhere thereabouts, it's kind of tough from here. It's like a lot of these things have incidental life gain attached to them, which is pretty reasonable. Maybe this life gain is just so much more important than the 1/3 body. I don't exactly have a clear vision for what I'm doing. So like that gets me those. I don't really like Suffocating Fumes unless my opponent has Coldotha Rebirth, at which point that card is very important. Like, am I going to draw my 1 of at the right time? Or do I just want stuff that contributes to a more consistent plan? I guess Arms of Hadar is just, like, noticeably better at doing the same thing, because it also will kill a Swift Spear most of the time. And then, like, there's this. Some nice top end, but it's very slow. If I'm gonna do it, I should probably do it while I'm on the play. Maybe some of this Deadly Dispute stuff goes for being slow, and I replace it with a different slow thing. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Alright, what are we looking at? A hand that does not have access to green mana, but has a removal spell, multiple lifelinkers. Not excited about it. Feel like I get stuck on 2 mana and die for it a good portion of the time. I think I'm gonna try to find something smoother. Nope. Go to 5. Go to 4. Alright, you know, it's not happening. Like, this is a unplayable hand that I am going to keep because I am on 4 cards. Like, I am going to keep this hoping that my opponent has a clunky 7-card hand that doesn't do anything and that I somehow win the game with these gatekeepers. Alright, well, Mountain Pass is a great start for me. This can be a green-black land. And no play in the first turn cycle is weird to me based on what I've seen of this deck so far. Okay. Well, I can't play any cards yet. This isn't... No, this is green. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of damage this turn, both from the attack step and from this thing's triggers. Alright, draw your card. Mostly hoping for not more permanents. Like, I don't want my opponent to have more persistent sources of damage. I want to just, like, put these cards into play, gum up the board, and then hopefully get to some point where these gates can take over the game. What is this? Oh. You know, I'm out of this round. I'm out, folks. I'm sorry. We're done. Okay, I'm keeping a slightly awkward hand in round 5 here. Make that a white-black land. So it's awkward because if Cast Down is good in the matchup, this hand is probably pretty reasonable. And if Cast Down isn't good, I'm going to need a lot of help for this hand to play reasonable Magic. Alright. You're playing against an artifact land here. I think I just want to play out Golden Egg and get a card deeper into my deck here. Finding like a Reckoner's Bargain or something would be pretty good. Alright, spare supplies. Want to get to draw a card. I think I'm more interested in drawing a card than putting a 1/3 into play here. Gingerbrute attack? I maybe just want to get tapped lands out of the way here. So this is white-black. Maybe be a green-black. Yeah, this is kind of what I was expecting. So my opponent is going to be playing a artifact-centric Blink deck. And my opponent's going to have Experimental Synthesizer. I think they're going to kind of end up ahead on resources as this game goes quite long. I think I'm going to go ahead and immediately Reckoner's Bargain. Kind of get all my options here. I think let's just take out the Glint Hawk now. I actually could just play Sacred Cat. I don't hate playing Sacred Cat and getting this Manor Gate out of the way. So I have black-white. I have black-black. I have green-green. So this should maybe be white. Alright, Lightning Bolt on my cat. No big deal. Feel like that's maybe poor timing of that, though. Like, if you wait, you potentially get me on a gate activation. But I'm not 100% on that. I'm going to have 5 mana for the turn. I can cast down cat. That's probably pretty reasonable. Take out these creatures while my opponent is tapped out and can't really do much about it. And start thinking about large Basilisk Gate turns. I also do just have a pretty respectable amount of gas in my hand. My opponent, unfortunately, also has 8 cards. Now, one of those, at least, is a land due to borrow a garrison, and I knew about the spare supplies as well. Then is fine. Spare supplies is fine. My opponent is representing a lightning bolt by having that great furnace up. I guess I can just force them to do it, and if they have it, cool. I just Reckoner's Bargain or Deadly Dispute. Got black available, so this is fine. Yeah? Okay, yeah, that's just 6 lifelinky damage then. Get in there, little buddy. Opponent goes to 14. Deadly Dispute? And probably Deadly Dispute right now. Sack the Golden Egg. Nice. There's a Swamp. A itty bitty Drain. Call it a turn. I'm ahead on board. I don't really know that I'm ahead in the long term. Like, again, these are stored cards. Main deck, 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. That's probably not the sign of a healthy metagame. Probably for the Kuldotha red deck, whatever it's being called at this time. Alright, Core Skyfisher. Bouncing a Spare Supplies. Sure. I don't have something great to sack to Deadly Dispute right now. Just sack a Swamp. Let's just sack a Swamp here. Well, I actually could just go in for a bunch of damage, right? Maybe that's just better. Let's play a new gate. Maybe choose green as the secondary color here. Play a Gingerbrute. Go ahead and gate it up. Make it effectively unblockable. Crash in for half of my opponent's life total. Bring them to 6, and I'll leave up Reckoner's Bargain / Deadly Dispute. One thing that I recently noticed is that this is a food golem, so I can sacrifice this to bring back Cauldron Familiar. Okay, I mean, that life is very, very relevant right now. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do this. We'll do the old switcheroo. Drain my opponent for 1. Well, it's not truly a counterspell for Gal Blast. It's nice. Probably forces my opponent. Oh, no. Alright, they're crashing in with the Skyfisher. I'll go to 26. End of turn. Let's get rid of this. Alright, it's sacrifice an artifact or creature. I'm so used to all my lands being able to sacrifice because artifact lands are a thing, but that's not actually happening here. Let's not actually do that. There's another gate. I should be keeping a closer eye on the distribution of these colors than I am. Let the record show that I am aware of this, and I just don't have the mental capacity to do that while I am also streaming. Or recording, rather. This is already a lethal threat. I think I just attack in with it as is. I very much feel like my opponent has something because they attacked with Core Skyfisher. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Okay. So let's go ahead and Deadly Dispute. Sacrificing this. Reasonable. I think I immediately just play this. That is worth these treasure tokens. Because it also will get me Cauldron Familiar back at instant speed. Pop out this graveyard. Let's not pop out that graveyard. Battlefield is getting small. Grapple with the Past returning Gingerbrute is also pretty reasonable. Opponent has so many queued up draw cards. Alright, they're going through all of them though. I feel very good about my situation. I think my opponent's dead on board. Yeah, they can't attack because of Cauldron Familiar coming in. Sacrifice that food. It drains my opponent for 1. Now, 2 mana. Grapple with Past. Return Gingerbrute. Past Gingerbrute. Okay, target, yeah. Okay. So, my opponent had so many cards in hand at the end of that game, but it just didn't matter. Because, like, while they were accumulating great value, I was playing more strongly towards the board. How am I going to approach this matchup? Don't think I like Fumes. I think that's gonna go. I think Grapple with the Past for Gingerbrute is pretty good here. Dust to Dust is a way that I can technically attack my opponent's source of card advantage. I don't know that that's really good. I can try to drag this game on with like Fangren Marauder or Gatekeepers or something. Enchainer's Edict, some early blockers out of the way. 1-for-1 cards are just like not super fantastic in the face of all of my opponent's removal, or sorry, all of their card advantage. That said, I still think I want a couple of these to just get 2-3 blockers out of the way or whatever. If my opponent's not aggroing me in the early game, I can get time to convert into some of these harder to deal with cards and convert my gates into damage. Penguin Marauder is potentially so much life, but I think I'm just going to take a Gatekeepers since I can cast it earlier in the game. I don't really love my hand, but I don't know to what extent I actually get to be picky. I feel like I've gotten pretty punished for a lot of my mulligan decisions over the course of this league. Not sure which one of these lands I want to play out. This is white-green. Do that. Okay, sure. Alright, card advantage begins. How do I want to play this here? I think I just want to get these tapped lands out of the way now. This as green-white. I'm going to do this as green-white as well, despite the fact that that's a little weird. I won't have black in play immediately. Maybe that's okay. Okay, Journey to Nowhere is fine. Reckoner's Bargain. Do I want to play out 3 creatures into that thing that deals 1 damage to my opponent's creatures? Not really. I really just want to cast some of these draw 2s. Start working towards more gates. A little weird. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out a new Sacred Cat and pass the turn. Not sure if I will Deadly Dispute it away immediately just to draw the cards. Flint Hawk is reasonable. We'll bounce Spare Supplies. And a good old Thraben Inspector. Well, this Sacred Cat is not rumbling in the face of 2 blockers, so let's get the value train going, shall we? Yeah, and I'm not the biggest fan of just throwing these removal spells around on creatures that look like these. But my opponent's operating on relatively low mana. If I can keep their threats from dealing me damage in the short term, I think that's good for me. I don't think I'm willing to... they get good value out of that. They get to take out my Sacred Cat. Yep. Anyway, finishing the thought, I don't think I was willing to treasure token to immediately play a 1-drop last turn. I want to start with Grapple with the Past and see where that gets me. I'm looking for my damage gate. That's not the damage gate. That is also not the damage gate. What do I need? I have green, I have green, I have white, I have white, I have black, I have black. Okay, so it doesn't matter too much. Guess I'll take this one. Play it. Pick green as my secondary color. Go ahead and play a new Sacred Cat. I'll pass the turn with Reckoner's Bargain available. If I find a damage gate, I have so much available. Like, so many bodies that I can just, like, throw at my opponent. This is one of the few times where I've really been able to, like, turn draw 2 into draw 2 into draw 2. Alright. Gunk Sacred Cat, draw 2. Witchstalker's okay. I have triple green, I have green, I have green, I have green. I do have triple green. Oh, but I don't have 6 untapped mana. We're probably not grappling with the past this turn. Let's go ahead and play a Witchstalker. I think I go ahead and just take the Sacred Cat out of the graveyard now. For 1 mana. Do this. I don't need to pick black with 2 basic swamps in play. Let's call that good. I've reached the point where I'm officially ahead on board, but I have to dig towards my super fun gate. I'm a third of my way through my deck. I haven't found one yet. De La Vie. Right, and now my opponent gets to start grinding their value with spare supplies. Oh, they are returning Dawnbringer Cleric. So they're potentially going to want to remove my Chainer's Edict. They didn't do it immediately. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the card that I need. I think I'm just going to take the value from my Chainer's Edict now, or my opponent, air quotes, does the thing. Alright, Edict away your core Skyfisher. Attack in for 1. I'm not super keen about going and playing... Okay, they're sacrificing a clue this turn instead. Yeah, I didn't feel good about a gate attack that turn. It just kind of feels like my opponent has a removal spell. Alright, spare supplies are fine. One does something funky. Land of turn, target basic land you control is basic land type. Okay, yeah, sure. Given that I can now do multiple things in this turn cycle, I am okay immediately attempting this and forcing a lightning bolt or whatever from my opponent. Yes, that is fine. I'll now take this opportunity to grapple with the past. I want to leave a white up, and I want to leave a black up, so maybe I leave up these 2 lands. I don't really need gatekeepers right now. I think I'm going to take the 4/4 creature. I'll play out you. And I'm fine throwing 2 1/1s onto the board since one of them can immediately come back to the food token. Alright, there's some draining. I guess the card that I'm looking for most right now is just another copy of Basilisk Gate, so I can kind of spread out. Oh, fuck, that's very good. I can kind of spread out some damage. My opponent doesn't have that many artifacts, though. Like, they have a good number. I don't really feel like this is the end of the world. Let's attempt to grow Cauldron Familiar this time. Opponent can makeshift munitions that away. This is fine. I will poke in for 1 point of damage. Brings my opponent to 20. And we'll go ahead and throw Fierce Witchstalker into play. I can bring back Cauldron Familiar multiple times at this point. And the Witchstalker is a little bit better versus something like Makeshift Munitions. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 returns of Cauldron Familiar showing. My opponent has 4 artifacts, but 6 cards in hand. Now, Journeys. Journey is annoying. That takes this out cleanly. But my opponent's not presenting any blockers or any damage here. Seeker of the Way is a little scary. My opponent has tapped out, though. Means they're taking some fucking damage. Let's return a Cauldron Familiar. Oh, yeah. Cast Down destroys that creature. And I think I'm comfortable just giving this lifelink. I don't think we need to mess around with Gingerbrute at all right now. 7 damage. I could turn it into more than that, but I think it overextends my resources into cards that I know about. Take 7. I'm at 31. Relic's pretty good. Relic answers both of these nonsense cards. I will gladly exile a card. Or Skyfisher is great for my opponent. Turning an Ancient Den and just redeploying it to have more mana available. That is reasonable. Or gates. Green here. So these makeshift munitions are rough. I think I'm going to target Sacred Cat here. Alright, so there's the makeshift munitions damage. And if they give me priority back, I'm going to just recast this and not give them extra Relic of Progenitus value. At this point, I think I'm just going to chill. I want these Gingerbrutes to be surprises for my opponents that kind of come out of nowhere when makeshift munitions when their mana is tapped out. I like each Gingerbrute attack is worth 7 damage as of right now, so if I can do that twice, like that will beat my opponent. I will take a card out of my graveyard. We'll be leaving lands and creatures in there for as long as possible. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Let's attempt this on, I guess, Cauldron Familiar here. Oh, it's a Galv Blast. Alright, that occurs. So I'll play Basilisk Gate. Attempt to do this whole thing. Requires them to sacrifice an artifact. Yep, there we go. Fine. Oh, I see. They sacrificed their creature. I don't think I played Gingerbrute here. I think I just passed the turn. Again, I want my opponent to tap low or tap out. Oh, that's a mistake. Now I get Cauldron Familiar back. Nice. Alright, good stuff. And next turn I probably get to hit my opponent for a pretty sizable chunk of damage. Synthesizer is very good. Thraben Inspector is value. Lanes is fine. Opponent's permanents are starting to jump around a little bit. By Deadly Dispute. Play a gate. Opponent's got a little bit more mana open than I would like them to have. Am I just forcing their resources out of play? Like, force 2 permanents out of play this turn? Is that how I'm grinding this out? Probably. So attempt it. Alright, I lose this creature. I could save Gingerbrute for next turn and attempt to do 2 at the same time. That's probably reasonable. I'm also down a lot of clock. That's something that I need to start keeping in mind here. Relic is fine. Dawnbringer Cleric's annoying. Like, I was trying to get Relic off the field with Cauldron Familiar. I did not succeed. Sure. Tap lower, please. Alright, I found another one. So I will play that. It's worth a drain 1 immediately. I can start blowing up my opponent's lands by playing Gingerbrute stuff. Let's say that's a good idea with an experimental synthesizer sitting in play. Alright, attempt to make this creature large. No, I messed up. I was supposed to wait a turn for this so that I could I target Cauldron Familiar. Yeah, this was a mistake. Yeah, I'm supposed to wait a turn so that I can target Familiar with this, then play Gingerbrute, then target Gingerbrute. When opponent responds to that, I bring back Cauldron Familiar. Yeah, that was an error. Trying to speed up my play. Okay, they are gonna take my cat out and presumably try to nuke the graveyard. I don't know, maybe it's not a mistake because, like, Relic is a thing. Alright, Glinthawk. Bounce Experimental Synthesizer and not be good for me. Another Glinthawk. That is a gross value chain. By Cast Down. There's the Synthesizer again. For an Ancient Den. I'm just so close to getting in here for these final points of damage, but I just can't quite do it. Alright, I am glad that card is randomly in exile. Dawnbringer Cleric's rough. Takes away some of the play of my line for next turn. I don't accomplish anything by playing Gingerbrute now. I think this Makeshift Munitions has just got me. Like, Makeshift Munitions plus this Relic. I don't know what this card does. Turn target creature from your graveyard to your hand. Sure. Turning a Core Skyfisher. I've just got to find an opportunity to do one big Gingerbrute hit. Like, I have 8 gates in play, plus Gingerbrute's 1 point of power. But if my opponent just passes the turn with a bunch of mana and Makeshift Munitions up, I can't ever do that. I need them to get greedy and, like, vomit a bunch of stuff into play and then die because of it. But they've played well enough thus far that I don't really think that's going to happen. Alright, another Omen of the Dead. I, like, Seeker of the Way, maybe? No, okay, they're just going to keep going for the value chain. I mean, this is the point where they can die, right? Like, if they were to tap out here and top deck a gate and they lose. Alright, Egg. That's another gate. That's not going to do it. I think my plan here is F6 all my opponent's turns and try to get some block equity back. I'm going to remove this upkeep stop. Is a whole lot of damage. Drop from 31 to 22. And my opponent has sick value. Yeah. I'm learning there's more copies of these. Bounce Synthesizer, sure. Lightning Bolt me. Mashed it up my Golden Egg while I'm F6'd. Absolutely. I accept. Sure. Golden Egg can go bye-bye. There's a gate. Fast turn. One Gingerbrute attack is lethal if my opponent taps out for any reason. But I think they have absolutely no reason to tap out. I am dead next turn. That brings me to 8. Am I dead now? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think my opponent has enough. Now 3, 6, 7. Alright. Gingerbrute. Attempt Basilisk Gate. Get pinged. Gain 3 life. Gingerbrute. Attempt Basilisk Gate. Get pinged. Gain 3 life. That gets me through another turn cycle. I can waste a little bit more of my opponent's time. Alright, cool, cool. But I'm pretty much dead next turn, and I don't know really what I can top deck to not be dead. I'm just trying to waste my opponent's time. Is a really boring position to be in. Or you can relic me. Alright, my opponent's got a Gal Blast, that's fine. Alright, Dust to Dust is only artifacts, right? Now that I know my opponent has Oblivion Ring effects, Dawnbringer Cleric becomes a little bit more interesting to me. Opponent has Disconnected here. Board out the Gatekeepers. Maybe one Chainer's Edict here. This has 1 land, it's not a keep. It has 2 lands, so it probably is a keep. I'll do this, maybe throwing back the Grapple with the Past for now. Will be a maybe green-black land. We'll call it a turn. A little bit of a time deficit here, but not one that I think is truly a problem. Going to be a white land. Going to be a Cauldron Familiar. Drain my opponent for 1. I don't think I'm going to be immediately going for as much possible damage as I can with Basilisk Gate. I think it's more important for me to probably cantrip here. Grapple with the Past, call it a turn. Prowess creature in play is going to be a little bit annoying. I'm hoping to just hit my next land drop and then have a pro-white creature. Well, both of my opponent's color creatures in play that just, like, gets to make this a non-card. Alright, white, green, let's make this green, maybe black. Let's Reckoner's Bargain this away. And play a new Cauldron Familiar. Next turn I get the Guardian. Advisor's good. I'm not sure if I am supposed to block with Cauldron Familiar here, and I don't really have time to think about it. Okay, Inspector's fine. Oh, okay. I don't have to think about it. Stay okay with me. I will take 4 lifelinky damage. And then play my Protection from Monocolored creature. I imagine that this takes over the game pretty well. My opponent has some flyers, so like they can get through it eventually. Other Seeker. Sure, that's fine. Let's play this. I'm focusing on cantrips now rather than pure aggression. Do this. Draw a card. Maybe just draw more cards. Sacrifice the golden egg, refuel. And just kind of hold the ground. A golden egg's also a food. Multiple Seekers, my opponent can kind of attack into me in a way that's not the best for me. They've figured that out. They're gaining a good amount of life. I'm not sure that I'll be able to easily kind of get through that. Sure. New gate. Play it. Pick a color. Grapple. A Cauldron Familiar, I guess. Kind of regret how I tapped this. But I am absolutely in click on cards mode. So that's okay. My longer term plan is play Gingerbrutes, make them unblockable, attack. Woohoo! That's a really annoying card if that just sits there. I hope that gets used. Probably have to force it to get used. Grapple. Grab a Gingerbrute. Play a land drop. Attempt to do something that will gain me a bunch of life. Alright, yeah. That takes all that stuff out. Allows me... Oh, fuck. These are the wrong things. Didn't play around that. Alright. Do not have time to play and tap optimally. I also think these land cycles are horribly confusing to actually play with. They don't, like, easily color code themselves or anything. Fog is annoying. I lose out on my lifelink value for tapping wrong last turn. Alright. Yeah, that's fine. Like, crack away, please. Alright. Gate. Gingerbrute. Big Gingerbrute. F. Try again next turn. What my opponent has to do on their turn. Guy Fisher's very strong. Bouncing Synthesizer. Sure. Recast. Seeker of the Ways leave me in kind of a bad space in terms of like actually closing out this game with a couple of gate attacks. Yep. I'm down to 13. I think I just have to soak up the largest amount of damage here in an attempt to stay alive. Might just die next turn. Alright. Play a Gingerbrute. Collar up a Gingerbrute. Attack with a Gingerbrute. Make it unblockable. There's 8 damage. Play a Sacred Cat. I'm not going to do math on whether or not I'm dead. If I'm dead, I'm dead. I don't care. I think I just have to just keep making plays. Seems weird to do that with that timing. But I'm probably just dead. Okay, yeah, there's a Journey to Nowhere. I'm not going to get lifelink off. Yes, I am dead. Alright. Such is life. I was fighting an uphill battle here. I don't think I would have won even if I had the ability to play a little bit more slowly. Alright, so let's kind of put some closing thoughts on this. I think this is a neat design for a deck list. Like, I like a lot of what's going on here. That said, I don't feel like Pauper is in a particularly good place. Like, in multiple rounds, my plan to win was just time out my opponent, and every time my opponent was playing with the affinity style deck lists, I just felt like I was absolutely buried. Like, I think this deck is very cool, but I just, like, did not have fun playing this Pauper League. Like, it was grindy, and not in a way that I particularly found interesting. It was grindy in the, okay, I've lost this game, but it takes my opponent 10 more minutes to kill me. But because timeouts are so likely in this format, if I want to play optimally, I have to, like, play towards timeouts. And that was just exhausting. Like, it took me, I think, 4 hours to record this league, which is wild. That means that most of my rounds went to time here. As far as the deck list itself, like, this was super interesting, but I don't know that this is just up to snuff. I don't think this has as much card advantage as some of the, like, affinity decks. I don't feel like this is coming down fast enough to be competitive with the, like, emerging red decks. I I think this is a well-designed deck that gets shelved for a while, and maybe if we get some Pauper bans or a format shakeup, like, this can come back. But I don't know that the power level was just right here. And, like, while the gates were really strong, like Basilisk Gate in particular was very, very good, I don't feel like these were better than just running artifact lands so that I could get rid of lands to just continue to draw cards or fuel out Thoughtcast or whatever. That's where I'm at. I have got to go. I have so many things to do right now. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya.